Welcome to Today at Wayne, a podcast that engages and informs the Wayne State University campus community. With news, announcements, information, and current events discussions relevant to the university's goals and mission, Today at Wayne serves as the perfect forum for our campus to begin a conversation or keep one going. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the Today at Wayne podcast. I'm Daryl Dawsey. It is no understatement to say that Jorge Chinea, a professor of history at Wayne State University and the director of the university's Center for Latino, Latina, and Latin American Studies, has taken a compelling path to his current role. Born in semi-rural Puerto Rico, Chinea's family migrated in the late 1960s to New York City, where Chinea soon found himself immersed in both social activism and, ironically enough, street gang culture. Years spent as a member of the Harlem Renegades, a socially conscious outfit modeled after the Young Lord street gang in Chicago, gave Chinea a keen, ground-level insight into a raft of social issues facing Black and Brown communities, from housing conditions to rent affordability to policing and public safety. And after a torturous journey through college as both a student and later a young professor, Chinea wound up in Detroit in 1996. Since then, he's become a fixture, not just on campus, but in many of the communities of color throughout Detroit, most notably in Southwest Detroit's heavily Latino neighborhoods. In his role as head of the center, Chinea has been responsible for establishing and maintaining close ties between the university and the city's Latino communities, playing heavy roles in both the recruitment of more Brown students to WSU and in securing financing for scholarships to ensure that those students make it through to graduation. Now, as the nation celebrates Hispanic Heritage Month, and as the Center for Latino, Latina, and Latin American Studies celebrates its 50th anniversary, Chinea's contributions have been underscored more than ever. And now to talk about them is the man himself, Jorge Chinea, here on the Today at Wayne podcast. Welcome, Professor Chinea.
Thank you very much, Daryl. This is an honor to be in this program.
Always great to talk to you, man. It's always great to talk to you. First of all, congratulations on the center turning 50. And I was wondering maybe we could begin there. Tell us a little bit about your role over there and how that role has evolved over the years since you've been here.
You know, this program actually began in the community. It was created by two local organizations. Latin Americans for Social and Economic Development dreamed up the idea, and then they pitched it to New Detroit Incorporated. And New Detroit came up with some funding. And as a result of this collaboration between New Detroit and LACET, they created a program that was initially called the Latinos en Marcha Leadership Development Training Program, or LEM for short.
Okay.
That program got the attention of people like Otto Feinstein and a couple of other people that were on campus. Otto Feinstein was an early activist, educational activist, who walked outside the walls of Wayne State and began to reach out to the community. He learned of the program, pitched it to the university community, and lo and behold, the BOG decided to launch it right here at Wayne State University in 1971.
All right. Now, you've been over there since 96. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how the center's work has changed from its inception to your time being there to now. How's its role and its work evolved?
Actually, it has grown by leaps and bounds. The initial impetus for the program was laid out by Dr. Jose Cuello, my predecessor. He's the one who actually hired me back in 1996. He himself was hired as a result of a community-university collaboration. And he laid down the groundwork. I came in. By the time I came in, the program needed to go to the next level. And having him set the foundation, it made my job easier. I came in here from a university in Minnesota. There I met a faculty member. His name is Dr. Dennis Valdez.
Okay.
And he told me, I have been a professor at Chicano Boricua Studies at Wayne State in 1978. I said, what is Chicano Boricua Studies? He said, well, this is the program that started as LEM that was soon, renamed the Center for essentially Mexican American and Puerto Rican Studies.
Ah,
So the wording that was used was Chicano, which means Mexican American, and Boricua, which means Puerto Rican.
mhm,
Those two ethnic groups were the most actively involved in creating the center back when it was called LEM.
mhm,
So he explained to me the connection with the community. I've always been involved in community activities from my days in Harlem.
mhm.
So I said, wow, a college program that has community connections. I like to learn more about it. So long and behold, I get my PhD done in 1994. I'm looking for a job. I noticed that there was an advertisement at Wayne. I applied and I was luckily accepted. And I've been in the program since then. What we have been doing is actually listening to what the students are telling us. So instead of doing a top down, where we essentially decide from the top what is in the best interest of students,
Mhm.
we have been engaging in conversations with students. What would you like to see? What will help you become more in tune with the university community here, more responsive to the academic environment, more successful in carrying out those goals that you have of getting a quality education at Wayne State. And having listened to them, we also conducted a longitudinal study to
Okay.
see where our students have been doing academically, to find out what are the hurdles, what are the things that make them stumble,
Mhm.
and also, what are the other needs that we don't know about? Like, for example, what is the receptivity outside the walls of the center? Are the students being taken care of, or are they being discouraged?
Mhm.
So we put all that information together and started creating programs for students. And we had created, I don't know, quite a few of them.
Okay.
We created, for example, the first ever summer enrichment program
Okay.
in 2004. Then we created the college to career program to get them trained into careers that they may follow up on when they graduate. So this is like an internship program for them. Then we developed a Academia del Pueblo, which is an undergraduate studies research conference
Okay.
where they can start practicing what they have been learning in the class publicly, so they can learn how to do public speaking, and learn how to organize papers, present PowerPoints, and so on and so forth. Actually do even panels, if they want to do panel presentations. Then we decided that, okay, we're gonna hold a gala that had been held at the center for maybe every 5 years. We decided to hold it every year with the idea of making it a fundraiser and an opportunity to link up with the community roots.
Okay.
And as a result of that, many people have responded favorably. And we have been doing it for a while now. And that got the attention of several corporations.
Mhm.
We went to them initially and told them, we need resources because programs like ours cannot solely depend on university funding. So whatever you can have to spare, we can use it. So we started getting, initially small amounts, right? $1,000 here, actually even less than that in some cases, free tickets to events and job resume training and workshops on financial literacy.
Mhm.
And then we kept rising it up and increasing it. And now we're doing internships. Some of them are paid internships. And then those same corporations then said, how else can we help? I said, we desperately need not only opportunities to engage students off campus, we need scholarship money because it's costly to go to college,
That's right.
and they've been coming through with that. The most recent scholarship amount that we received was from the DTE Energy Foundation. They gave us $330,000,
All right. Wow.
and we have been using that to support the students.
Now, I don't know if you're being modest or if you just haven't, you don't want to speak to it, but I understand that at least one of these scholarships is actually named in your honor. Is that right?
Oh yes, that was another idea that came out of the community in this case.
Okay.
That, by the way, I didn't mention that many of those programs that I mentioned, like the College to Career program and the Summer Enrichment program, they were actually suggestions that came from students or alumni. They told us, how can we connect with students once they graduate or before they graduate so we can help them get jobs?
Yeah.
And anyway, so one leader in the community whom we invited to an event says, wow, you keep doing this year after year after year. I don't think we're recognizing you enough. You're doing so much for everybody else. Maybe we ought to create a scholarship under your name. So that was that. They, someone in the community, the idea caught on. And all of a sudden now, I think he has, over $10,000 already by people donating to it. When it reaches 25,000, it's going to become an endowed scholarship.
Mhm.
And then we're going to start issuing scholarships out of it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, now that's great work. I'm just kind of wondering, it just seems to be that kind of work seems to be in line with your history. Has your work at the center been a great place for you to kind of bring some of that activist spirit that you honed and you developed as a young man into the campus community? And if so, kind of what has been the overall response, and what are some of the challenges that remain as a result of you doing the kind of work that you're doing?
One of the things that we have been doing is sharing what we know with other people. So it's in our best self-interest, right? To the extent that people become conscious of our needs, they could develop programming that can respond to those needs.
Mhm.
So one of the things that we have done is, we knew, or we have been knowing that the Black retention and graduation rate needs to increase.
Mhm.
So we reached out to the Department of Africana Studies, where I am also an adjunct faculty member.
Mhm.
And I encourage them to create something similar to what we have. And as a result of that, I believe that the president is presently engaged in creating a program that will address those needs.
Mhm.
And we're happy to say that we will be there to support it 100%.
All right. All right. Now, when we turn our eyes sort of off of campus and we look out into the city, we look out into our communities, communities like Southwest Detroit. What are some of the big challenges that our communities are facing, our students are facing, and what role should we as a university and should places like the center be playing in helping to address some of these problems?
That's a really good question. One of the challenges in most minoritized communities is that they are not fully institutionalized in the sense that they don't have their own native sources of income or resources. They don't have the infrastructure to address some of the challenges. Urban life is so much different than rural life, right?
Mhm.
And so you got a lot of kids that are disconnected, right? From the traditions of the past, people who brought those traditions from the US South, or they brought it from Latin America. So people become a little bit like disconnected, and they need to reconnect. So one of the challenges for me is trying to do what I can to promote community development,
Mhm.
you know. So whenever people call me and say, can you come to us and tell us about the needs of the Latino community? Sure. Can you come to the school and talk about the Hispanic culture and all that? Sure. And I do it because, in doing so, we are sharing the knowledge of the so-called ivory tower,
Mhm.
right,
Mhm.
with the community that need it the most, especially in a place like Wayne State, right? It's a public institution, a land grant institution, and this mission, this urban mission, needs to be, continuously addressed and enhanced and expanded. So I taken that as part of my job because of the community roots of the center to share that community engagement with anyone on campus that will be willing to listen and participate with us. And so at the annual gala, this comes alive because what we do, we invite university units, right? The
Mhm.
College of Education, law school, African American studies, anthropology, peace and conflict studies, whomever we can, and say, come and sit with us, find out what the community is about.
Right.
Let's have dinner together, let's talk.
Right.
You'll find out that there's a lot of commonalities out there.
Absolutely.
And so I get a particular joy out of that.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fantastic. Now, I'm just wondering if you could just give me some quick numbers. How many students has the center served certainly since your time?
I would say in terms of the students that we recruit per year, The program started small because we were initially a 1-year program.
Okay.
And then by the time I came here in 96, it became a 2-year program.
Okay.
So what the students did, we acclimated them to campus life, and then we more or less cut them loose, so to speak, right? And they go on their own and make it, right, out there in the different colleges and programs. Since then, we looked closely at that formula, and we said, you know, they need more scaffolding, they need more connections. So we added the College to Career program that became a 3-year program now. And under the 3-year program, we also have a Latino Studies minor that we created.
All
We
right.
found out that the major, although it's interesting, a lot of people cannot afford to pay for 2 majors because that's coursework that you had to take into different units. It could become expensive. So we decided to create a minor. You could do a minor and still be in your transcript. You can use it in the job market, and it's fulfillable. You can do it within a reasonable amount of time. And so now the students stick around to become a minor in Latin American and Latino studies. And that enables us to maintain connections with them at least through the 4th year.
Absolutely.
And it's a labor of love, I'll tell you that. And as far as how many, because we started as a 1-year program, we started with about maybe 30, 40 students. And we have been pretty much in the same level since then. I think this past year we went up to 60.
Okay. Oh, wow.
The number is depending on the funding, right? If we have enough funding to support 100 students, we will take 100 students. But since we don't have enough to support them over 4 years, so we have to be modest. And so altogether, I would say around 2,000 students have gone through the program. But we also do film festivals. We also do conferences. We also do outreach into the community, and we do the courses. And many of the courses are not closed to the university community. They're actually open. Anybody can take them. So that means that we probably service another probably 5,000 or 8,000 students who have been in these events that we've been holding. I mean, our Academia del Pueblo attracts about 300-400 students, and some of them from other nearby institutions.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're able to speak to that, because I don't think people really understand the reach that this has and the impact that it's had in Detroit and communities around Detroit. Let me ask you this, and we're going to get close to, we're close to wrapping up, so I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. I know you're busy, but I do want to ask you, this is, September, October mark Hispanic Heritage Month. Just wondering, how do you think people should be thinking about Hispanic Heritage Month? How should people be celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, just in your opinion?
Yes, let me address that. But before I do that, just for 1 little second, let me mention something about Academia del Pueblo.
Okay.
Literally, it means the People's Academy.
Okay.
It's an open forum where students can practice, right, public speaking, research writing, research presentation, and so on. But here's the kick, right? What makes it really beautiful. We invite community leaders and the agencies that provide internships to send people so that they could be panelists and participants in the conference.
Okay.
That creates that vibrancy between the university and the community. But regarding the Hispanic Heritage Month, right? The Hispanic Heritage Month, to me, I look at it as an opportunity to remind us of the importance of inclusivity,
Okay.
right? The importance of moving from, history to her story to our story, everybody, right? And we need to do that because this country was born out of the interaction of many different groups. Some of those interactions were not happy moments, obviously, right? We have, the conquest of North America that took the lands of Indian peoples away. We had the enslavement of Africans. We had the deportation campaigns that over the years have, been impacting Latino populations and other populations. We had the internment camps against Japanese Americans. So there's a list of, bad stuff that has happened in the past.
Mhm.
However, when we get past those sour moments, right? Latinos are still here, Japanese are still here, Indians are still here, African Americans are still here. So to me, the Hispanic Heritage Month is a time to reflect upon the diversity of the country and the fact that Latinos have been here for a long, long time. In fact, we could make a reasonable argument that Latinos were in North America before the Europeans from other nations other than Spain came.
I don't
And
think it's
they
a
brought
reasonable
along,
argument. That's a fact and history based argument.
yes,
Absolutely.
and they brought along free blacks because the black population in Spain when Columbus came was already large, and these are free blacks. These are not enslaved Africans,
Mhm.
and they came here to participate. So a lot of the Spanish were partly Arabs because Spain was on the nation of Islam or the world of Islam for 800 centuries.
Mm.
I mean, 8 centuries, excuse me, 800 years.
Mhm.
And so the Spanish brought many of the Arab culture with them. They brought in the African culture with them. And then you got the miscegenation or intermarriage here with native peoples. So it's a rich history, right? And it's worth reminding ourselves that Latinos have been participating in this society, in this culture, in many different ways, especially in the area of the economy. I mean, the labor provided by Hispanic migrants has been a significant boost to the economy of the United States in the Southwest and in the Northeast and now in the Midwest. And it continues to grow. And that is something that sometimes overlooked when people think of Hispanics as illegals, undocumented, perhaps people that shouldn't be here.
Mhm.
But we're kind of neighbors, right? Latin America is right across the border from us. Canada to the north, Mexico to the south.
That's right.
We have to get along, right?
That's right.
And so the Hispanic Heritage Month, I think it's just an opportunity for people to remind us of the importance of collaborating and networking and diversification, all the good stuff, and try to put aside, those moments in the past that were not the best examples of American democracy.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? That's a great point, and that's a great place for us to leave this conversation. I really appreciate the spirit of what you just said. And of course, I always appreciate talking to you, and I appreciate you taking your time to join us here on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. And I hope this program continues to have more of this type of events to feature, the people on campus that are doing work, including yourself.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank you for inviting me, and I hope I wish you a happy Hispanic Heritage Month celebration.
Thank you very much. Thank you so very much. Appreciate having you, Professor Jorge Chinea. I'm Daryl Dawsey. This is the Today at Wayne podcast. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening to Today at Wayne. We'd love to hear from you, our campus community, about other podcast ideas and topics. What compelling things are you doing to spread the good word about living, learning, working, and playing like a warrior? Let us know by visiting todayatwayne.edu.